Today we are heading to the Queen City, the home of the Saskatchewan Roughriders, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, and the capital city of Saskatchewan. Welcome to Season 9 of MuniCast.
I grew up in a small town. I'm small town at heart. I moved to the city, but deep down I've not gone that far. No matter where my boots take me, I grew up in a small town and I still got one foot on Main Street.
MuniCast is brought to you by SUMA, the voice of Saskatchewan's urban municipalities. MuniCast discusses topics that are important to municipal leaders, like local governance, best practices, education, and so much more. Now in Season 9, we are meeting SUMA's Board of Directors. SUMA has adopted a new modern governance structure, built from a thorough governance review and member consultation. Now this new structure is a caucus model, with a 7-member board and 34 representatives from villages, resort villages, towns, cities, and northern municipalities across all regions, marking the beginning of a new chapter for SUMA. Now, to follow up from our very first episode of Season 9, we continue to dive into the SUMA Board of Members. And today, we are pleased to welcome to the show Regina City Councillor Shanon Zachidniak. Our interview with Councillor Zachidniak right after this quick message.
From the smallest villages to the largest cities, every day your urban municipality supports you. The water that travels from tap to sewer, the emergency services that keep you safe, the parks, libraries, and rinks that you enjoy. Our cities, towns, villages, resort villages, and northern municipalities are urban hubs bringing people together. We are urban. Celebrate your municipality as part of the urban family.
Councillor, thank you so much for sitting down with me and sitting down with SUMA members from across Saskatchewan and residents from across Saskatchewan to talk about yourself, to talk about the city of Regina, but also talk about SUMA and the board and the advocacy work that it does. I want to start, though, with you, if you don't mind. What made you want to get involved in municipal government?
Yeah, it's a great question because I didn't imagine this is something that I would do. And I actually did have a clear reason for doing it, which is that I was working on climate initiatives and advocating for better climate policies. And I actually started a nonprofit organization doing that, and realized that, of course, to have good climate policies, we need leadership who's willing to tackle that, and the level of government doing meaningful work in that regard across North America and throughout the world is the municipal level, and specifically in Saskatchewan, it's the level that is really tackling these issues head on.
This is your second term in office, correct?
It is, yes.
How's it been?
It's a roller coaster.
Is it what you expected?
No. And prior to running for council, I wanted to make sure I understood it. So I attended as many of the meetings, either in person or virtually, in the year leading up to running. But obviously, there's so much more than the meetings. I didn't expect how many emails that we get. And phone calls, and how many issues that you have to be aware of and on top of. Like, it's, everything that a municipality does. And of course, I didn't exclusively expect to focus on climate. And if I'm doing my job properly, I'm abreast of so many different issues and just helping residents with whatever issues it is that are top of mind for them. So it's very busy. It's certainly a full-time job here. And unfortunately, we don't have adequate supports, but I've certainly learned how to be more efficient in managing my time.
Your journey to the SUMA board is like many that are before you. You, if I'm not mistaken, and correct me if I'm wrong, but the city of Regina appoints their member to the board of directors, right?
That's right, yeah.
So why put your hand up, and why did you want to be that voice on the SUMA board?
So last term, I was on the Environment Committee, which no longer exists. And then with this past election, we actually have almost a brand new council. 9 of 11 members are new. Our previous board members are no longer on council. I thought it would be good for us to have someone on the board who had experience, and I already had experience on that committee. So and it's a good way to continue to work on the issue that got me here, which is climate. And SUMA has a strong focus on climate issues. And I do some work on the national level, so this was a good way to do work on
With
the provincial.
FCM?
Yeah, I'm on the Green Municipal Fund
I did not know
council
that.
for them. Yeah, so it was just another avenue to do that work.
I want to talk about SUMA and what it means to the city of Regina for a few minutes, if you don't mind. And basically, I'm going to start with that question. What does the Saskatchewan Urban Municipality Association mean to the capital city of Saskatchewan?
I think it's you know, kind of what it means to Regina is what I think it means to all municipalities, just having this collective voice where we have the ability to advocate through SUMA more effectively to the provincial government and to whomever we need to advocate. And then SUMA also prepares resources and also offers training. So it's a good way to not just have a collective voice, but to also be able to learn from each other and further our journeys and as elected officials and get better at our jobs.
You say you've served on the committees, the Environment Committee, which is no longer there, but you're now as the on there as the board of directors. What does SUMA mean to you personally? What does it mean for a councillor from one of the largest cities to sit on an organization that just doesn't advocate for the city, but advocates for all? I was gonna pull out a number of how many municipalities are in this province, but I'm not going to right now. So, what does it mean to you personally?
Like, first of all, it's a huge responsibility to ensure that you actually are acting in the best interests of the Saskatchewan as a whole. And I know also, like, in that, on that vein, that not everyone shares my passion for climate. And so and that's true, like, in the city of Regina as well. And so this is also why I think it's really important to bring a very practical lens to our work, because if we are taking action on climate issues in a way that is sensible, we're putting in solutions that are going to cost less money in the long term and going to pollute less. So regardless of like where you prioritize climate issues in you know, the range of issues and the range of crises in front of us, if we have good effective climate solutions, they tick multiple boxes and they make our lives better. So but it's a big responsibility. It's an honor, and it's also a great way to understand what folks in other municipalities and throughout our province, what's important to them, and ensure that I'm well connected and have a good understanding of like how others feel in the province.
Environment seems to be a personal passion of yours. And I'm asking this question off the top of my head, but please bear with me while I ask it. The environment, climate change seems to have taken a very front forward concern this year with the wildfires in northern Saskatchewan. Member communities from across the province of Saskatchewan, SUMA members, rallied around the residents of northern Saskatchewan when they came to your communities. What did it feel like for your community to open their arms so widely for the people of northern Saskatchewan during that horrible time that they were going through and are still going through, I should say?
Yeah, well, it's really important that we are able to help each other as we honestly, you know, like suffer the impacts of any crisis. Like, so any time that there's any kind of crisis happening, and we can help other municipalities and help each other out, it's important that we do so. And I think that these connections, like through SUMA, allows us to be more connected to each other. And, you know, there's nothing more important than helping each other in times of crisis. And actually, Saskatchewan excels at that.
While there is a new caucus model You represent just one city in that new board of directors. What are the challenges that are facing the city of Regina moving into this, I guess, second year of your term, because we're almost at the end of your first year of since the last election. So what do you see as the biggest challenges for that the city of Regina is facing right now?
So I would say one of our biggest challenges is something that was identified as a top priority in, I think, all the caucuses, which is infrastructure funding. And in Regina, it's a serious concern where so yes, it's a challenge that we all face, but there was a period of time where, this is my understandings from many years prior to when I was a councillor, mill rates were kept very low and infrastructure funding was not properly accounted for. And essentially things were just put off to the future. And now we have this time, it's the future now. And we have, costs have escalated, inflation and the cost of living has risen for folks. And so it's this sort of perfect storm of a time where for us to address this infrastructure deficit. And it really goes to show that just putting things off to the future is going to have a detrimental impact one day.
How do you see SUMA fitting into that solution of addressing those concerns, the infrastructure concerns? Because you're right, it's not just happening in the city of Regina, it's happening across every single municipality across this province. How do you see SUMA being positioned to help the city of Regina, communities across, address the infrastructure challenges that it faces?
So I do think this collective voice that SUMA offers is so important, because I think there is a perception that there's such a huge rural urban divide and that the priorities of both are so different. But when we see something like infrastructure funding as a top priority for any caucus, I think it goes to show that, like, at the end of the day, I think we have more similarities than differences. And so SUMA allows us to figure out what those are and speak in a collective voice about our similar priorities and ensure that they are getting adequate attention from other levels of government who have the funding that could help us address some of these concerns.
Are you surprised that so many municipalities have the same concerns? Because you think, being one of the largest cities, you'd have different concerns, different challenges, but economic diversification, housing, infrastructure, no matter where you go, it's a topic that a lot of councillors are dealing with right now. When you're sitting around, I know you've only had a few board meetings since you were put on the board, but are you surprised that you're hearing similar concerns and challenges in each member municipalities?
Yeah, kind of. Like with some of them, not really. Like if we talk about houselessness and mental health and addictions, I'm not surprised that that's a concern across the board. I knew some of the specific challenges that we had in Regina in relation to our infrastructure deficit. But so I was surprised that it was a top issue across the board in the same way. But I mean, I guess as humans, it's our tendency to sort of push things off till later anyway. So maybe that's not something we only did in Regina. And then also, whatever, even if you had thought that you were properly funding your infrastructure and setting aside money for later, just all the rising costs have made it very difficult. Like everything is more expensive. You thought you saved enough money for a project, and then, you know, it's not just in Regina. We're getting reports back that costs have escalated, and whatever project that we were doing, we don't actually have enough money for, and we have to figure out where to get the rest of the money to execute that project.
Collaboration seems to be a hot topic in the province of Saskatchewan right now. SUMA's motto is "Stronger Together."
Yeah.
What does collaboration, it's a two-part question, but what does collaboration mean to you personally as a councillor? But also, what does it mean for the city of Regina to collaborate with its neighboring communities?
I think, like, for me personally, it's about finding common ground with folks that I'm working with and finding a way, like, what is the common ground that we can find on a topic, and or of topics of interest, and finding ways to work together. And we all have strengths and weaknesses, so we can build off each other's strengths and have a better outcome. For the city of Regina, in terms of collaboration with like neighboring municipalities. I think like it's a great question that we're trying to figure out how to have a stronger regional economic cooperation than currently exists. And so I don't have the answer to that,
But
but
is there something that you have seen in your time in office so far, so 5 years, that you can point to and say, this is what collaboration has meant? This is what I'm here for, to collaborate with other municipalities or even nonprofits. Because the best thing I've ever heard when it comes to municipal government, and I apologize if I get this saying wrong, but municipalities don't borrow, they steal from the best, right? They steal from other municipalities and say, you're doing it right, so I'm going to take from that. So what can other municipalities learn from what Regina has done right or is doing right now?
Well, it's like, so I guess I have a recent example where we were able to work together with Saskatoon to, in terms of some exploratory work that we were doing about the upgrading of the national building codes. And so, and I, like, our administration regularly communicates with Saskatoon. And so, you know, we aren't physically as close to Saskatoon as some other municipalities, but we do, as the largest municipalities in the province, have similar issues that we're working on. And so our administrations having a strong working relationship makes a lot of sense. Same thing with our councils. And so, and, you know, if we can work on something together and share the costs and resources for that, I think it's a great idea. And I was happy to hear that we recently did that.
Well, it's great to collaborate in that way. There must be a little rivalry between you and Saskatoon. I'll be sitting down with your colleague on SUMA board, Councillor Downhour. So while Regina's great, it's amazing. It's the best city. I'm going to say that every single time I do one of these interviews. So just let you know that. But what does the future look like for Regina then?
Yeah.
Well, is that a hard question to answer?
It kind of, because there was such a changeover from this council, the previous council, to this council, that this council is still trying to figure out what are our collective priorities. And I know, like, one of them is certainly to have a focus on efficiency in our services and the costs related to that. I mean, one term goes by so quickly, though, right? And so I think that's one thing, the major thing that I learned is, you know, like, because previously I formed a nonprofit and could do things on my own time, right? Like, on like, as quickly as I wanted to. Being a part of any large bureaucracy, obviously things take time. And so one thing I learned is that change takes time. And so what does the future of Regina look like? I mean, I hope that we can, as a council, work toward, with like a collective voice, sort of like SUMA does, toward a city, like creating a city that is like a livable community for folks, that they, like a vibrant, livable community that folks enjoy, with, you know, adequate, like a good amount of recreation amenities as well, and that folks enjoy a good like a good quality of life here in Regina. And I think we're aligned on that. Obviously, we're not going to do that in 4 years, but it's actually the case that I think it was a Globe and Mail. It was reported in the Globe and Mail that we are actually one of the most livable cities in Canada. And so and people in Regina don't always know that or feel that way. And so I think we're also all aligned in wanting to, for folks to take more pride in the city that we live in, because it is a great city, and it's easy to overlook the things that make it great, like how quickly you can get around, how there's so many parks. Like, there's parks in all directions from my house that are walkable, and so. And
there's always something going on.
Yeah.
Like, driving through down the city today, there was people out and about, walking on the trails, walking in the downtown Wascana Park. So it seems like something's always going on.
And when you see these things day to day, you forget about the things that make your city special. Yeah.
I'm gonna pause here for a second, because I'm gonna veer off a little bit, not on the question, because we were about 20 minutes in. I got another 8 minutes. I have like 2 questions left, so I'm just going to have to extend a little bit if you don't mind. You sit around the table with 11 other individuals.
10 other, yeah.
10.
So 10 councillors and the mayor.
10 councillors and a mayor. Yeah, I do basic math there for a second. I'm a journalist, not a mathematician. But you sit around with 10 other councillors, one mayor. And Ward 8, I would imagine, has unique challenges compared to Ward 4, Ward 2, Ward 10. And you as a collective group have to bring together those voices and what you're hearing in your individual communities and look for the best of what is going to happen in the city. Do you take that experience, that last 4 years that you were doing that, to that SUMA board and say, okay, if we're going to look about the future of not just the city of Regina, but the province of Saskatchewan, we need to do this together?
Sorry, what, like,
basically, are you using your experience on council as a tool or as a resource of how you're going to approach your role as director into the next however long you're sitting on the board of directors for SUMA to ensure that not just the city of Regina does well, but the entire province of Saskatchewan does well as well?
Yeah, I mean, and I think this focus on collaboration and taking very seriously your role of representing folks is really crucial and key. And also, honestly, like, trust in elected officials feels like it's at an all-time low. Like, and so I think it's something that I hope every elected official takes seriously, and especially in these sorts of positions, that if you're representing folks, like, you better make sure you take seriously having a good understanding of what's important to them and respond accordingly. And, you know, because everything that's important to my residents doesn't always match with what's like a top priority for me, right? Like, somebody's pothole on their road may not be my top priority, but if they see it every day, like, obviously it is for them, right?
Please quote my favorite quote right now. Please quote Spock from Wrath of Khan: "The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few or the one."
Yeah, that's exactly what I was about to say. So
were you actually going to quote Spock?
No, I'm sorry.
We could have nerded out together, Councillor. Come on.
But I mean, that's my job, right? So, like, somebody has, and I mean, obviously they're supposed to go through like the Service Regina service request system first, but if they're not getting the response, and, you know, so they feel like their response is being ignored every day, they drive over this pothole, and it's just so frustrating. Like, you put yourself in their position of what it must feel like. Take it seriously, take the time to address it, even if it's not like, you know, the thing I'm most passionate about. I'm representing these people. I have to, it's my job to respond to whatever is their top concern and give it the time and attention these things deserve. So similar to the SUMA board, like, maybe not with potholes, but like...
I'm assuming every municipality is talking about potholes, Councillor.
But I don't think I need to represent that on the SUMA board, but you never know. You never know.
Maybe that's the key priority for 2026. Potholes. That's what we're going to focus on. But I want to just ask a final question. And this is one time when I turn the microphone over to you and give you a chance to tell people who are listening, who are watching, what does SUMA do? What does SUMA mean? What would you want people to know about what your role is on the board of directors for SUMA, or what the Saskatchewan Urban Municipality Association does for not only the city of Regina, but all municipalities across the province of Saskatchewan?
To me, SUMA's strength is in the advocacy efforts that SUMA is able to take on, and the relationships that SUMA has developed with provincial representatives. And so the voice that SUMA is able to bring, representing over 400 municipalities, is much stronger than any of us can have on our own. And so, but that's not all that SUMA does, right? SUMA offers these training opportunities, the opportunities for everybody to get together, with the convention, and also train, like, with some of these training opportunities. And also the priorities of SUMA come from the voices of the municipalities. Like, it's not just the board of directors sitting around choosing what the priorities are. And that's this new caucus system that, we're brand new to, but that's the point, is to ensure that the voices of the member municipalities are sitting around that board table and able to give direct input into what the priorities of SUMA are. And then there's group benefit programs. Like, there's all kinds of opportunities in being involved in SUMA. And frankly, last term, I had some council colleagues who were saying that they didn't find SUMA to be useful, but they hadn't ever engaged. And it's like, well, this is a member-driven organization. So if you feel like it needs to have a different direction, then you get involved and you give guidance to what you would like to see changed. And that can happen and does happen with SUMA. And that's why the caucuses exist. So I think it's an amazing organization, and I'm really honored to be a part of it. And I'm really excited to see, especially with the new changes in governance, how that'll evolve. And I hope that, if that the member municipalities do feel that their voices are being heard. And then if not, then we'll continue to make changes until they are.
You mentioned something that I forgot to ask, but I'm going to point it out right now. Are you excited that you're going to be welcoming municipalities from across the province to Regina in April next year for the SUMA convention happening in your backyard?
Right. Yes. I forgot about that for a minute, but absolutely. Yeah, I think it's going to be lots of fun. And as a member of the board now, I'll even have like a bigger
You'll be at,
role.
like, table 1.
And so, I'm glad you raised that. So I can consider like what, we want to show folks when they show up to Regina. We want to show them what's so great about our city, and there's lots of things. So I'll be putting my thinking cap on, and you might want to come explore the best ward, Ward 8, but the whole city's nice. So.
Councillor, I want to thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for sitting down with me and talking about yourself, but also talking about the city of Regina and what SUMA does for every member across this province. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us for this edition of MuniCast. Now, we appreciate you spending time with us as we get to know the people shaping the SUMA Board of Directors. We will be back in 2 weeks' time with our next guest, SUMA Vice President of Towns and Mayor of Maple Creek, Saskatchewan, Michelle McKenzie. But before we go, here's a quick preview with our new segment, 5 Questions with the Board.
Next time on MuniCast, we're sitting down with Mayor Michelle McKenzie, Vice President of Towns for SUMA and Mayor of Maple Creek, Saskatchewan. And we're going to ask her 5 questions right now to prepare her for that conversation. Mayor McKenzie, what's your favorite movie?
You wanted these really fast? It's The Notebook.
What's your favorite book?
The Municipalities Act.
Where was the last place you traveled in Saskatchewan to get away?
Simi.
What's your favorite part of Saskatchewan?
Maple Creek.
And describe Saskatchewan's municipalities in one word.
Wonderful.
Again, thank you so much for tuning in. If you haven't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button on MuniCast on your favorite podcast platform, or hit that subscribe button if you're watching us on YouTube. Until next time, thanks for spending a little time with us, and we will see you down on Main Street.
I grew up in a small town.